Question 3. In question 3, students are being asked to create a group frequency table to show the distribution of the data item listed. In this demo, you are being asked to create a group frequency table to show the distribution of weekly incomes of employees. The table should include the count, the percentage, and the cumulative percentage for each category. And students are required to comment on the distribution. So to begin with, again, we need to click on anywhere the data sit. We don't want to click in any of the blank spot. So we click on where the data is. Then we go to Insert and click on Pivot Table. Again, the moving dotted lines indicate that Excel has recognized our data source and it gives it a reference point as that. The next thing to do is to click on existing worksheets so that we can place our report table in the same worksheet as our data. We click on the location box to ask Excel to place the report in a specific location on our worksheet. And that location, I'm going to point to this. So that's the reference point for the location where I would like Excel to place my results. And then click OK. Now this is the area where the report will be built based on the fields from the pivot table. Excel recognizes one data field, weekly income, as shown right here. So we begin with drag and drop the weekly income into the row column, into the row section. And as you see, Excel identified all the unique values within our data list. We need to group them. So to group them, we click anywhere on this data, right mouse click, and select Grouped. You are presented with the default values. The default value shows the lowest point or the lowest value in your data set, and then the highest value in your data set. The lowest is $600, and the highest in my data set is $1,900. Now the 100 shows the interval width. So we want to create a groupings of 100. The interval width, the width of each intervals. And that's what the bar here represent. So we want them to create a width of 100 for each group. So we click OK. And when that's done, Excel condenses the data list into groups. So here we have the first group is from 600 to 699, which is a width of 100. The second group is 700 to 799, again the width of 100. And this is what the class width represents. Now, but what you should take note of is this. We are only allowed to create between 5 to 10 groups. That is the recommended number of groups. We don't want to have less than 5, and then that is become fewer than what is needed. Or we don't want to create more than 10, then that is too many. So the recommended number of groupings for a group frequency, a meaningful group frequency table, should have between 5 to 10 groups. Now let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have more than 12. Sorry, we have more than 10. We have 12 groups. So in that case, we need to condense these further. And to do it, we have to go back and right mouse click again and go to groups. We are back here again. Now, the way to condense this further is to change the interval width from 100, double it, 100 to 200. Okay, and by so doing, we condense it. If we need to expand it, we reduce it. So by 200, we say, well, we want Excel to create the width of each groups. Each group should have an interval width of 200. And that's it. We click OK. And here we go. We end up with interval width of 200 for each group. 600 to 799 is have an interval width of 200. 800 to 999 has an interval width of 200, and that's for each one of these categories. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 groups. It fit into the recommendation, which is we need to have between 5 to 10 groups. So we are now ready to go. So with this done, we then move on to start counting how many of the incomes falls within each groups. So we're going to count how many falls within each category. So to do that, we drag and drop our weekly income into values. Values is what count the number of cases. So here we have 5 employees made between 600 to 799. 18 employees has income between 800 to 999. 6 employees has income between 1,000 and 1199. Now we need to make this a little bit pretty by having them centered. So I'm going to highlight them, all highlighted, and then centered. Select and centered. Okay, then also I need to change the label for this list. Double click and click on frequency and type frequency. So this gives you a frequency count. These are your frequency count of cases for each groups. And now the next thing to do is to have this shown in percentages. How do we do that? We basically again drag and drop weekly income into values. And this time we right mouse click on this list and have show values as percentage of grand total. Here we go. Now again, we need to double click the label header and change that into percentage. Right? So we just have to drag it, hold and drag to expand it to sort of fit neat and nice. So this is the frequency, or this is the count, and this is the percentage. So what this means is we have 6, for example, we have 18 employees that made between 800 and 99, and these 18 employees constitute 30% of all employees in that survey. Now the last thing we need to do is to find a cumulative percentage. We need to do our cumulative percentage. So to do cumulative alongside, we need to drag and drop the weekly income the third time. And here again, we have our count, and we double click and show values as percentage of running total in. Again, percentage running total in. This is quite different from running total in, right? This gives you a cumulative percentage. That gives you the cumulative frequency. We want the cumulative percentages. So we click on percentage running total in. And then we accept the default. This is going to be based on the field weekly income. You accept whatever default you have. And here we go. We have our cumulative percentages. We then double click on the label header and change this to cumulative percent. And here we go. So student, you've done basically with the mechanics of constructing a group frequency table. These are the categories of groups. This is your frequency count. These are your percentage of cases, and these are your cumulative percentage. Now the students have to provide some comment on interpretations. Again, it's all about providing some level of understanding of your data, and that's what I'll be expecting students to comment on. For example, if I pick this line, I need to provide an interpretation of that, of the frequency count, of the percentage, and of the cumulative. So to do that, I'll say there are 18 employees that made incomes or earned incomes between $800 to $999. These 18 employees constitute 30% of the employees in the survey. So 30% of the employees earned between $800 to $999. 38.33% of the employees earn less than $999, which means from this point, actually, I stand corrected. Rather, 38.33% of the employees earned $999 or less. $999 or less. Let's pick another example. Here we have, there are 11 employees who made between $1,400 and $5,599. 18.33% of the employees earn between $1,400 and $1,599. 78.33% of the employees earn $1,599 or less, because the cumulative percentage basically add to all the previous values. Hence, when you provide an interpretation for the cumulative percentage, it should include any point from the beginning to the end point where these values are read, the upper limit. So essentially, this is what the student needs to comment on: identifying maybe the highest, the group with the highest count and provide their percentage of cases, identify the groups with the lowest count and provide interpretation of their frequency count, their percentage, and their cumulative percentages. So again, no right or wrong way of doing this. It's a matter of how students communicate their table, the interpretation of their values, and the interpretation of what they see from the table to their audience.